Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis, me once again. Welcome back to another video game review. This time is going to be on Now, this is not going to be a full review, as this is only half of the main story. There are still like 4 more chapters left, and each chapter has taken about a few years to release. The first chapter came out in 2018, the second chapter came out in 2021, and chapters 3 and 4 came out this year, which was 4 years later. So, yeah, it's going to be a while before I'm able to get a full review of this in, but I'm just reviewing it right now. I could have waited a few more years till the story was fully concluded, but I've just been so hooked on this game that I just needed to talk about it, especially after completing Chapter 4, and I already want more. If you're familiar with Undertale, then you'll be very familiar with Deltarune, as you play as a young teen named Chris, who is the only living human in the world of monsters that run around the above world rather than the underworld. As Chris meets up with a girl named Susie at school, who is very aggressive, very mean, and wants nothing to do with anybody, until her and Chris run into a dark world in the underground and run into a young prince named Rouse. They have to explore the dark realm together as they fight their way, as they can either spare or kill everything that gets in their way. It's another player-choice RPG from Toby Fox, once again, that's pretty much in the same world of Undertale, just being told in a different way from other characters, and it really has you thinking how this entire world ties into Undertale, because characters from Undertale make a cameo, but the main focus is on these new characters, so it's not just trying to be like Undertale 1.5. Now, I love me some Undertale. I played Undertale so many times. I even played the entire pacifist route on my channel back in 2020 because we had absolutely nothing better to do, so yeah, I just decided to do a full playthrough of it. I did play the genocide route once during my spare time, but I never got around to finishing it, and you wanna know why? Ho-ho! You wanna know why I never finished the genocide route? I am this close, but of course I've been getting my ass whipped by a certain wisecracking skeleton. Seriously, it's amazing how many people on the internet have managed to beat this guy, but whatever. But I love it so much, I declare it as my favorite indie video game of all time. I even tried making the butterscotch pie from the game. I did a cooking video of the butterscotch pie on my channel. It was absolutely delicious. I loved it so much that I even made it again for Thanksgiving. So yeah, when I heard that a successor to Undertale came out back in 2018, I didn't know what to make of it. It was available for free, or at least the first 2 chapters were, but now that more chapters have come out, the game costs $25 right now, which isn't a bad price at all, especially since we're going to get more free updates with those chapters coming out later on. And when I first played Chapter 1, I didn't really know what to make of it, because I didn't hear that many people talking about it at first, and because this was involving new characters this time around, I was all like, okay, this is good, but it kind of made me miss playing Undertale, so that's why I didn't finish the first chapter until Chapter 2 came around. So now that we got 4 chapters now, the game went from being good to, oh my god, this kicks ass. What I really love the most about this game is how it manages to tell its own storyline while also giving you ideas of how this ties in to the entire lore between Undertale and Deltarune, because Deltarune is actually an acronym for Undertale. If you mix up the letters, then yeah, it's Undertale but spelled differently. Same with some of the characters, like Frisk, who you played as in the pacifist route of Undertale. In this game, he's called Chris, so it's like Frisk but without the F. As well as Rouse, who is an acronym for Asriel, who was Toriel and Asgore's son from Undertale. Now, I am going to get into some light spoilers, but not any heavy spoilers. So if you haven't played Deltarune, then I recommend probably not watching if you don't want to be spoiled of anything, even when it comes to the funny bits, because, oh man, the comedy, just like in Undertale, is in here. You might hear me compare this to Undertale a lot, but how could you not? It's from Toby Fox, the same guy who made Undertale, so of course, there's a lot to talk about when comparing it to Undertale. First, I gotta talk about the characters. Oh man, the characters... I just loved these new faces that Toby Fox has put into this game. Like, sure, we get cameos from Sans, Toriel, Asgore, Undyne, Alphys, which would seem like fan service, but they're actually in the game for a pretty good purpose. Undyne's a cop, which fits her personality well. Alphys is a teacher, also fitting her personality well. Toriel is your mom, which I feel like is absolutely perfect. She's probably the best mom in video game history, so that was perfect. And of course, Sans makes an appearance because he's Sans. No, we don't have Papyrus. Not yet, anyways. There is a sign that maybe he will appear in other chapters, but yeah. But as for these new characters, there are so many of them that appear, and some of them, most of them I thought were very intriguing, were the baddies, or the supposed baddies, because while they try to have some very, like, schemeful plans behind them, trying to be super evil, they just come around as very charming and not very smart, as they would seem to be. But then again, it was the same way for Undertale. Characters who tried to be evil just ended up being your friend, but they weren't always evil. In fact, they were never evil. The only villain that was in the game was you. Like, if you decided to kill everyone, you were the villain. Now, in terms of the pacifist route and genocide route, not a whole lot really changes when it comes to the genocide route, as I was hoping for. Like, I played this game without killing anyone, because if you just decided to kill off everyone, you would really miss out on the creative ways when it came to acting. And that's when you, like, try to spare or show people mercy throughout the game and trying to reason with them. That way they won't want to hurt you anymore and you can just spare them. And it's very creative when it comes to the bullet hell combat, specifically when it comes to the turn-based style, which I think is definitely an improvement over Undertale. I loved Undertale's use of turn-based combat, but because you actually have allies this time around, I feel like it makes the combat style a lot more interesting, especially when it comes to the bosses. Each boss has such great music, as well as such great and creative ways of trying to take you down, as well as creative ways of trying to spare them. The game manages to have just so much creativity behind it. It still has those elements of social commentary on meta humor, because we see it a lot nowadays. It was very much so present in Undertale, and he went all out here. Like, you can go up to any specific object and there will always be a line of dialogue, even if it's for like an apple or something. It always managed to put a smile on my face when it comes to the creativity behind the humor, and it gives us some of the funniest moments I have ever seen throughout video game history, and some of the most charming that charmed me just as much as when it came to Undertale's meta humor. And it just gave me some moments that just had me thinking, this is the greatest game ever made. Like, it gives us some of the best moments with some of these characters. Moments like this. Or this. Or this. Or dare do I even say this? Yes, this is real. And it was perfect. Now, I gotta continue on talking about the characters, because I haven't even gotten into the main characters yet. There's Susie, like I mentioned before, who is the aggressive, tough girl, who's basically like the meat and vegetables of this. She's that powerful badass that you can't just help but love. Even though she seems very aggressive, her character really starts showing a lot more of a soft spot to her when it comes later down the line, when it comes to each chapter, showing while she's still that tough badass that still manages to get, you know, kind of feisty once in a while, she still manages to show she does care for her friends, even if she doesn't fully act like it. Like, her relationship with Chris, I feel like managed to be very perfect, and they showed to be a very fun duo, and I just loved seeing them together when it came to them being in the overworld interacting with other objects as she really starts becoming your friend much more often later down the line, and it gives her more character to her and shows that she definitely has a bit of a soft spot to her, even though she doesn't want to fully admit it. And of course, there's Rousey, who's pretty much like the dessert of this, the sweet side of Deltarune. He is very lovable, and he has won so many hearts over. When he was first revealed by the end of Chapter 1, like his true form, it was perfect. And like I said before, his name is an acronym for Asriel, just like in Undertale, so it was perfect. It truly fit his character really well. Oh, and the best part about him is that once in a while, the game gives you the opportunity to hug him. It's like this game's version of petting the dog. I feel like it's something we all need to experience in this game at least once. And I'm just going to say this right now. If you've played Deltarune and didn't hug Rousey at least once, unless you were playing the Genocide route, then I would understand. But if you were playing the Pacifist route and didn't hug Rousey at least once, you're probably going to end up being my new greatest enemy of all time. Just saying. And I've made a lot of enemies throughout my life. But his character really starts to grow as we learn so much more about him later on, and it just manages to get more interesting when it came to his character arc and what exactly his purpose is, as he can't actually go into the light world. Anybody that lives in the dark world can't go into the light world, which I'm not going to get into any spoilers, but it really had me thinking. When it came to these characters, when it came to their motives, it really had me thinking. There are also these side characters that come in once in a while that were also very charming. There's Birdly, who's like this nerdy bird that kind of reminds me of Mordecai from Regular Show, or Falco. It's mostly going to remind people of Falco, but he's like that nerdy type who always wants to, seem like he's super smart, but in reality he really isn't. There's also Noelle, who's like this reindeer who always celebrates Christmas. Her family's all about Christmas because, of course, she's a reindeer. And Susie kind of has a bit of a crush on her, and there's no denying that she does. The moments that her and Noelle have together, it's obvious she's in love with her. I mean, it's obvious when it came to Chapter 4, there's like this long moment between them that I thought was kind of sweet, and I honestly would love if they had more moments like that together later on, showing that Toby Fox still manages to show off the LGBT themes of the games that he creates. Because when it comes to the protagonists that you play as, they don't have genders themselves. You can think of them as a boy, you can think of them as a girl, it's all up to you. So when it comes to the player choice, like I said before, when it comes to the Genocide route, sometimes it's called Massacre, there really isn't a whole lot that changes during the endings. I mean, things do happen if you do decide to kill off bosses, but specifically when it comes to like major parts, nothing really changes all that much, which is I don't know if it's going to affect the overall end to the entire story arc or whatnot, because once you finish a chapter, it does transfer your data, like in terms of the items you got, over to the next chapter. That way, you won't have to get everything all over again. So, yeah, it really just depends. But, hey, choices still matter, and there are also some additions of side quests too, which I didn't really get a chance to do. But I definitely see myself replaying this game because I just wanted to interact with every little thing that was going on. I wanted to get all the dialogue choices. I wanted to get all the little Easter eggs that were in there. And so much happens during these chapters that makes it feel different from each one. Every time a specific chapter ends, it really has you thinking, especially when it came to that first chapter. It really makes you start thinking Chris differently. Makes you start thinking of Chris differently. And they show that much later on in the game, as gameplay definitely changes once in a while. I should also mention, when it comes to obstacles, you know that little heart that you have, which is pretty much your soul? Sometimes there are elements to the game where you have to dodge specific projectiles in action-based form, which I thought definitely separated apart from Undertale. While Undertale definitely had that, the way it's handled here, I thought made a lot more sense and was pretty much more effective. There are definitely some moments that this game definitely does better than Undertale, but I'm still not entirely sure if I like it more than Undertale. It's really hard to tell. I feel like once it does get to the full conclusion, then I'll know for sure. Now, in terms of problems I have with the game, and it was really hard for me to find major flaws that I had with it, because I loved the story, I loved what each chapter did in terms of changing up the gameplay. I guess there are parts during the last few chapters, or the last chapter from right now, chapter 4, there's like this maze section that kind of slowed the story down a little bit. Didn't really have a major effect. I just kind of felt like it kind of slowed things down a little too much and kind of felt a little bit tedious. And when it comes to the puzzles too, they either get solved by themselves, but Toby Fox just loves to make fun of puzzles, which is always funny. And there are some puzzles that you have to do that I thought were pretty creative. And I guess so far, as of right now, there hasn't really been a moment to really hit me as hard as I kind of would have liked. I mean, there were definitely some touching moments here and there. Probably the one scene that hit me the most so far is after the final boss of the fourth one, where Chris and Rousey kind of have a moment. And if you choose a specific choice where you're nice to Rousey, it almost kind of reminds me of the scene between Frisk and Asriel, where the game gave you an option to hug Asriel, which was truly a moment that was impossible not to cry over. It almost reminded me of that, and I hope we get more moments like that. And I definitely feel that Rousey is probably the most interesting character, in my opinion, just due to how, his character can't go into the light world, and he's just so mysterious. Like, Toby Fox knows that he is a very memorable character and a very lovable one, and just people love him so much that he knows it. Like, chapter 3, we get a moment where they show an actual real-life plush of Rousey. I'm not even joking, not a pixelated plush. I mean, you do see a pixelated plush, but you even see a real-life plush during the game show sequence. I couldn't help myself. I pre-ordered one on Fangamer, which is like a website that has like a bunch of like video game merch. I pre-ordered one. Unfortunately, it does not come out till October. Come on, I need my fluffy boy right now. Come on. But oh well. I know it'll be worth it, but still, other than that, as it stands right now, the game, it's amazing so far. Like I mentioned before, it managed to get better with each chapter, from its story, how it ties in together, the lore, the characters, the music. It is all there. There are things that the game even managed to improve upon, like the combat and the turn-based style, and the fact that it feels a lot more like an RPG when it comes to, seeing your character while you fight. Not to say that Undertale's RPG elements were bad, because like I said, that's one of my all-time favorite games. I'll always love Undertale. I consider that a perfect game. I feel like this is near perfect, but even though my major gripe was that one part during the fourth chapter, later on, it could end up just being a nitpick if things manage to get better. There are still possibilities of this getting a perfect score, but spoiler alert, it's not going to get a perfect score as of right now, but it still has the chance of getting that way once we do get to the last chapter, which isn't going to happen for a few more years, but hey, Chapter 5 is coming much sooner than we think. It was already revealed that by the end of the game, it was going to come out in 2026, and I hope it stays that way, because I just want to play more right now. And even though I do want to play more right now, I feel like Chapter 4 still gave me enough to feel like, yes, this is probably going to be worth the wait, because, again, each chapter ends in a way that I feel like is so, just has you questioning so much, but you just can't wait to play the next chapter. That's exactly how I felt. And I feel bad that I didn't finish the first chapter sooner. And now that I played through all 4 chapters so far, I cannot wait for more. And this is just half of the story. There is much more to come, and I need to stop mentioning that because you get the point. But in the end, or as of right now, Deltarune, I think, is truly another work of art from Toby Fox. It shows when he releases chapters each year, it shows that he puts a lot of time and effort in creating another creative experience when it comes to its gameplay, to the interactions, to the puzzles, to its social commentary on meta humor. And the guy just knows how to satisfy his fans when it comes to his games. He provides a lot of fan service once in a while, and he manages to do it in a way where he's very self-aware of what's going on with his games. And I just cannot wait for more. It is definitely worth playing. I love these characters. I want to keep playing with these characters. I don't want to let them go anytime soon. And I cannot wait to see more of what it has to offer. And I just love how it just doesn't throw Undertale references in your face. It still manages to be its own standalone experience while also having some familiarities to Undertale. But still, nonetheless, it's a work of art that I cannot wait to see more of. You may be having a bad time fighting Sans in the end of Undertale, the genocide route, but you certainly won't have a bad time playing this game. Now, when we do finally get the conclusion, which again isn't going to happen for a while, once we do get the full storyline, I'll review the game again. That way I will have my final score, because there's still potential of it being a perfect score from me. But as of right now, it's a 4.5, just due to the fact that I expect more emotion to come from the story, and there's no doubt in my mind that it won't disappoint. It's definitely worth the $25 right now. It's 15 hours of pure lore combined with excellent character development and an excellent combat style. You gotta go out and play it right now. It's available on every platform right now, and I cannot recommend it enough. I cannot wait for the next chapter. And hey, there are more games coming out later that I can play while waiting for that next chapter. So, yeah. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter or Instagram or maybe Blue Sky. Links are in the description. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Word out. I may be having a bad time right now, but one of these days I'm gonna have a great time kicking your bony ass. You cool, yet very, very cruel motherfucker.